This is Andi Purewal for ID Boxing. For the first time for ID Boxing, I'm joined by Ben Davison. Ben, we've obviously been trying to time for a while, but yeah, how are you? How's life?
All good, thanks, mate. You?
All good, and it's obviously an exciting time for yourself and two of your trainees, Pat McCormack and Mark Dickinson, both announcing today that they will be joining Matchroom Boxing. We just had a brief chat there, Ben. You said it's been looked at for a while, so just talk to me about this move and the hopes for a pair of them now.
Yeah, Eddie reached out. He was very interested in Pat and Mark, and discussions took place with Probellum, of course. And credit where credit's due with Probellum. You know, they pushed the fighter first mentality and approach, and they stood by that. They gave Pat and Mark the opportunities to have a look at this opportunity, and it was the road that all parties were happy to take.
Let's start with Pat. What's going to be the plan with him moving forwards? I'm sure activity is the most important thing now for him. So talk to me about what Matchroom and what Eddie's laying out for him.
Activity and development. Development's the key part here. Obviously, he hasn't even come back to the corner yet in his pro career. So I want him, you know, there's that typical early part of someone's career where they want to impress, almost force things a little bit, but Pat has the potential, with everything he's got now, his talent, pedigree, the team that he's got around him, as long as he applies himself, he has the potential to be a unique fighter like no other that the UK has produced before. To be able to fulfil that potential, he needs the chance to develop, and he needs that under the lights in a professional environment, and that's the most important thing. You know, it's important, and very important for them. They want to impress, but for me, I want to see development, working on the right things at this stage in his career, so that he can move on as quick as I believe he can towards world level.
It's a difficult one when you consider it, Ben, because I've spoken to a few kind of highly rated prospects who have had very fast starts to their career, guys who don't get many rounds under their belt because they are able to get those knockouts. So for you, when you're looking at Pat, how much easier of a job said done is, how much easier is it to say sorry rather than go and do it because of the talent that he possesses moving forwards?
Again, it's application. Are you going to apply yourself to go in there and work on the specific things that we've asked you to work on? Because there might be something that we're working on in the gym. We put that style of opponent in front of you, but you just go out there and look to blow him away, which you might be capable of doing. But the reason we've put that guy in there is for you to work on something specific, so that later on in your career, you're able to deal with a certain scenario or a certain type of fighter. So, yeah, there's responsibility on the fighter to make the right decisions as well.
Mark Dickinson, again, somebody who I've got to know very well over the last year or so, but I've spent some time out there in America with him, with you guys. Talented fighter, hard-hitting man. Excited for what's next with him in Matchroom.
Again, a phenomenal talent. Really does apply himself. Great attitude. Loves boxing, absolutely loves it. Fantastic student. And again, I believe that he can reach a level that is rarely achieved by fighters on these sides of the shores. I think that he can truly become one of the elite, not just world level, elite.
You've got some talented young fighters, Pat, Mark, Luke, Shabazz, amongst others, Royston, Barney Smith as well. So many talented young fighters, Ben. What do you make of having such a young stable as opposed to kind of one of the more experienced ones?
I think we've got a mix in there. We've got Lee McGregor, Leigh Wood, world champion. It's Billy Joe Saunders back in the gym as well. So it's a well-rounded stable at different points in their career, and they can all learn off each other. I think even the young prospects, the hunger, the determination, the youthfulness can thrive off into the older guys, and the experience from the older guys can rub off on the younger fighters as well. So I'm really happy with the mix that we've got.
It's an interesting kind of point to make, because I remember when people started to question you, firstly, when you teamed up with Tyson at such an early age, when you had Billy Joe, guys who had achieved so much, people were eager to see you work with younger guys and develop them. How quickly do you think it will be that these guys start to show the talent that they have and the work you've been able to produce with them from a younger age?
Yeah, for me, the fighters themselves are the best advocates, because I think that they will say themselves, the type of fighter I was to what I am now is night and day, and I think that they can understand what adjustments they're making, why they're making them, and track their own progression, which is fantastic, and that will come to fruition and for everybody to see in time, with time. But that, I've got to be honest, I enjoy working with those type of guys early in their careers more than anything, because they're like a sponge at that point.
Ben mentioning Billy Joe Saunders. I actually interviewed John Ryder yesterday and asked him about why the fight with them two fell apart, and he just said he kind of all went quiet, looking at maybe next year. So, can you talk about Billy Joe being back in the gym? Is he in every day? Is it just on maybe a few days a week?
Yeah, he's training every day, consistent, and he's just enjoying his training. Hasn't made any decisions on what he wants to do or anything like that. All he's focused on is enjoying his training, being consistent with it, and falling back in love with the sport of boxing.
Do you think we see him return to the ring?
It's highly possible, yes. But like I say, at the moment, the focus is just on him being consistent, and falling back in love with the sport, and enjoying being in the gym and being around the lads.
What made him fall out of love with boxing?
I can't really answer that question. I just think that he's done it from such a young age. This is just an opinion. I can't answer for him, but I think just from being involved in the sport from such a young age, missing out on so much family time, watching your kids grow up, etc., etc., maybe he wanted some time to enjoy those things. Like I say, I can't answer that question. I'm just assuming.
Ben, also Leigh Wood. There's a lot of talk about what's next for Leigh. The Mauricio Lara fight falling through. Leo Santa Cruz coming back into the fray. Josh Warrington's been calling for that fight as well. What's next with Leigh? What can you update on?
Hopefully we'll have a conversation with Eddie today and find out a little bit more what's coming up. But Leigh Wood's back fully fit, and he'll be ready to go whatever opponent you put in front of him.
What do you think's the most likely next for him? It seems like Leo Santa Cruz is the one which seems most likely, but you may disagree.
Yeah, I think that will have to be the fight if that's what Leo Santa Cruz decides to do and stay at featherweight. But there's a chance that he may move up to super featherweight. I think maybe depending on what happens with Ray Vargas. If he wins, maybe he'll move up and box Ray Vargas. I don't know. Hopefully I'll have some more news in a couple of hours.
I hope so. I hope it's after this interview's gone out, Ben. I hope it's not during. But one name which is no longer with your gym is Josh Taylor. Of course, it's come out that you both parted amicably. You've still got a very good relationship. But yeah, just explain to me why you both decided to go down your own paths.
Yeah, I haven't really got anything to say on that. Just simply because of the fact how people hear a statement, the statement gets twisted, or a headline gets twisted. Very important to me that relationship doesn't change. Got a great relationship with Josh. Really, really get on with him. Of course, I want him to go on and beat Jack again. And I'm supporting him all the way. And that's all I've got to say on the matter, because, like I say, I don't want headlines twisted. So-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. I still speak to Josh. I even spoke to Joe McNally. Great guys. And I wish them all the best. And I said that to them. And like I say, I still speak to Josh.
Just two on it, which I want to ask about. Nothing twisting, that is, Ben. Obviously, teaming up with Joe McNally, who's had some great success recently. What do you make of that move on Josh's behalf?
Look, Josh will know what he's after. He'll know what he's looking for in a coach, as he did, previously. So I'm sure that he spent time in making that decision. He's not just made it overnight, and I'm confident, if he's confident, that's the right decision. He must be confident for making that decision. So, yeah, I've got full belief and trust in those two and that pairing.
And of course, that Jack-Catterall rematch, we're still waiting news on that. It seems to be early next year. We will get that. Just your thoughts, obviously heading into it now, more so as a fan and a friend of Josh's. What does he have to do different to ensure that everybody says he's the rightful winner on the night? I
think it's unfair if I start answering questions like that, because then it's a point of me saying, I think this, I think that. I'm pushing my points. Maybe points that I've discussed with Josh that then becomes aired out in the open. So I'm not going to discuss any details on that fight.
That's fair enough, Ben. Just away from that as well, just get your thoughts on a couple of things. Devin Haney, somebody you've worked with very much so over the last couple of years, went away to Australia recently and beat George Kambosos again. Just get your thoughts on his performance and win.
Yeah, another step up for Devin, another step in the right direction. They say that winning the titles are hard, never mind becoming undisputed, and defending them even harder. And he went over there and done it in just as good, if not better fashion. So really proud of him, growing as a fighter, and they've done a fantastic job with him, the whole team. So yeah, I'm over the moon for him, and he's, whichever direction he chooses to take, he's got massive nights ahead of him.
How much involvement do you still have with Devin, Ben?
I had a fair bit of involvement in the first fight. Didn't have too much involvement, any at all really, in the second fight, other than we had a few discussions here and there, and a bit of a discussion fight week in regards to approach to the fight, and we spoke after the fight, and we'll discuss about continuing to work together, hopefully person to person in the near future.
I spoke to Bob Arum last week at the Fury-Chisora press conference, and he mentioned that there's a very much possibility we could see Devin face one of Vasyl Lomachenko or Shakur Stevenson next. Just your thoughts on either of those fights? Neither of them are going to be easy if Devin was to be successful.
Two of the top 4, maybe 5 pound for pound fighters in the world. A lot of people may disagree with that. That's just my opinion. Whichever way that those fights get made. So I think that for me personally, I think that the Shakur fight would be stupid to make that right now, because they're still both very young. I think that what that fight can become would be ginormous. Just talking in terms of business sense, I think that fight can still be a hell of a lot bigger than what it is now. So I don't know. I understand why Top Rank might want to make that. If Devin's come to the end of that Top Rank contract, I don't know. I'm just assuming. And Lomachenko, let's have a look this weekend. It could potentially be the right time to take on that challenge, but he's just come off a big win, hell of a lot of achievements. Had to go to Australia, into Kambosos' backyard twice in a row. So I think it's time for him to deserve a bit of downtime and then assess the situation after that.
One thing I wanted to pick up on from the past fight with George is Devin's weight. A lot of people kind of felt he looked drawn at the weigh-in. As somebody who's worked with him and been through those weigh-ins with him, what did you make of seeing him on the scales?
I understand what people were saying. Totally understand what people were saying. I think that speaking to Devin, it wasn't as bad at all as what people assumed. But it's never easy. Never too easy. He's a big guy for lightweight. He's been making that weight for a long time. So, again, it's time for him to downtime, enjoy his achievements, and then I suppose him and his team will assess the situation after that.
Fury-Chisora 3 again, Tyson, your former, I don't want to say employee, trainee again. Just get your thoughts on that fight. Not the one which everybody wanted, a negative reaction when announced, but your take.
Yeah, look, the reality of it is, I think, is that Tyson has talked about fighting Usyk in December. I think that what he's done is decided, you know what, I'll fight Chisora. You can't call it a tick over, but some people will call it a tick over, whatever. He's still a contender, Chisora. Anything can happen. And just a tick over, waiting for the Usyk fight to happen early next year, which is fully understandable. I think that because of the way it's been pushed and sold, some people are saying, oh, it's a joke or whatever, but when you look at it realistically of what it is, it's understandable. He's going to have not as much of a challenging fight, a tune-up, as people call it, just while waiting for Usyk to be ready. I think Tyson was ready to box Usyk in December. Got to respect Usyk and his situation. So, a sensible decision, I think. And I've got to be honest, Tyson always told me, the whole time I've ever worked with him, that he wants to give Chisora a payday before the end of his career. That's the honest truth. What
did you actually expect then? As you said, he seemed to be like it will be a relatively relaxed and comfortable night to work for Tyson on paper, but what do you expect when he's in the ring there with Derek?
no one has an absolute easy night with Derek, do they? Nobody. Tyson, obviously the best heavyweight in the world, has the chance or the potential to make it a relatively easy night. But that's still a statement in itself. So let's see. Chisora, I know he'll come and give it a go. He's always willing to go out on his shield. So let's see. I haven't really got anything more to say on it than that.
What did you make of the whole Fury-Joshua talks? Did you ever think the team?
Nah.
That's fair enough. Ben, just on AJ, there's a lot of talk about what's next for him. He won't be out at the end of this year. Eddie said next year now, potential Dillian White rematch, amongst others being named. Otto Wallin has been named as well. So you worked with Tyson for the Wallin fight. Would that be a good move for him, AJ versus Wallin, or maybe the White rematch?
I think so. I think that circumstances, Tyson had 5 fights in the space of, I don't know what it was, 15, 16 months, 10 stone weight loss on top of that. For a heavyweight to have 5 fights in that time frame is very active in itself. Never mind 10 stone weight loss in that time as well. So he's very, very fatigued going into that fight. And we all knew that going into the fight. Then got a nasty cut on it, on top of it. So it was far from his best performance, clearly. And I think there's a chance that Joshua could go and really do a job there and sort of say, I've done a better job than Tyson, etc., etc. I know boxing doesn't work like that, but it helped the rebuilding stage for Joshua, I think. So I understand that approach, if that's the approach that they look to take. So let's see.
And then away from that, just one other topic to get your thoughts on. Yesterday it came out that Conor Benn had relinquished his British Boxing Board of Control licence. Of course, there was a lot of question marks still around that positive VADA test a few weeks ago. We haven't spoken since all of it unfolded, so I just want to get your take on that entire situation, Ben.
None of us know the facts, do we? So to have an opinion on it is... I think that a lot of people jumped on it straight away, not knowing the situation. I still don't know the situation. I don't understand the full situation scenario, so I've not really got an opinion on it. Once all the facts come out, then I might share an opinion, because I can have an opinion. At the minute, I just feel like it's unfair to have an opinion on something that we don't really know about. It's just assumption, and I think that's unfair.
That's fair enough, Ben, and we will leave that there now, and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of this day, because we've dragged this on and all of your team have left you, so thanks for speaking to me in ID Boxing.
No problem, mate.